Today is a great, wonderful, amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. We could say Sweden Day, but not just a Sweden Day, but a Sweden Cultural Day. Why we don't want to live in Sweden. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
Why don't we want to live in Sweden? So now that we're doing our home search around the world, a lot of you guys have been asking us, why don't you just stay in Sweden? What's wrong with Sweden? And today we wanted to address that question once and for all.
Everything that's wrong with Sweden. No. If you haven't seen us before, we're Oscar and Dan.
Man, they have lovely teeth. I'm kind of jealous. They're both smiling. I'm like, wow. They have a great dentist. Can I have their dentist, please? This is like straight white teeth. Oh, wait, they're both Swedish. So wait, Oscar's Swedish and Dan is Swedish American.
We're looking for somewhere around the world to live. We both grew up sort of in Sweden. Oscar spent his whole childhood there.
Yep.
I lived there from 9 to 19. So although now that we're almost 30 in a few years, that's not a huge portion of my life. I still feel very Swedish because those are very formative years.
Yeah.
Okay. The question everyone wants to know.
I always say, wherever you went to high school, secondary school, wherever you grew up as a teenager, whatever school you went to, wherever that school is, that's where you're from. Because those are your formative years, as I said, like from the age of like 13 to like 18, wherever you were in the world, that's where you're from. Literally.
Was why don't we just settle down in Sweden? Our families are there. It would make life so easy.
Yeah.
We know what it's like. We could integrate well. We have friends there.
Yeah.
But still, we absolutely do not want to live in Sweden if we have a choice.
Today we're going to get into all those reasons why.
I'd like to
and
know.
Just give some context here. For the past 10 years, basically, that we've been together, we have lived a very nomadic lifestyle. So we've
They're a couple. They're a very, very cute couple.
been traveling either full-time or living abroad in different places, either for university or independently. And that has kind of messed us up in many ways, you could say. So although we do feel Swedish in our core, we aren't necessarily that Swedish anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we should preface this by saying that I always wanted to leave Sweden. From the moment I moved there, I realized I don't want to live here.
At 9 years old.
Yeah, basically. At 10, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. We want to start by talking about the things we love about Sweden, because there are many things we love and we really treasure.
And some things we love even more, having spent so much time outside of Sweden, things that we have perspective on now.
Okay.
I think
wanna
for
hear
me,
this.
the main thing is the people and their values.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the social situation, just the fact that people in Sweden really value taking care of everyone in the country. For example, during the refugee crisis in the mid-2010s, the general attitude was we want to help. We want to help people in need, and I think that's really beautiful.
And I think a lot of countries or a lot of cultures preach equality and this and this and that, but like in Sweden, it really is an internalized part of culture. Like
I have to agree. I have to agree. Like you said, a lot of countries preach equality, but what are you actually doing? You know? And I've said this in the video I did yesterday about the emergency crew in Sweden and how you treat people with respect, and you can see how you treat people with respect regardless of who the person is. Yeah, I really do believe that you guys practice what you preach. You really do. And that is something that is pretty special about Sweden.
Really believe everyone is the same, everyone is equal, everyone deserves the same rights, and that is something beautiful that you don't really find in most places.
Yeah,
actually.
especially right now with how the world is going, I still feel that although Sweden is also kind of affected by that, it's still so much better than most of the world. And that sort of ties into another thing we really appreciate, which is that there's so much trust from us, from all of society, toward politicians, toward any elected official or anyone in any job. The level of corruption in Sweden is truly one of the lowest in the world. It makes...
Absolutely. Corruption index. Denmark's number 1. Sweden, number 1 is the least or corruption. Okay. I can't read a chart. Okay, so you're up there. Just under Singapore, Norway, New Zealand, Finland, and Denmark. Wow. Yeah. I can't... The UK is low corruption as well, but the way that you guys... The trust you have in your politicians, we don't have that. Trust is... It's actually quite sad what's going on in my country. You've probably seen on the news what's happening in the UK, and just the inner turmoil, and the left and the right have never been so far apart. You know, we used to be like more like, we had a left and a right, but a bit more center. Like people were in consensus of a lot of things and a lot of issues. Now it just seems like we have a far left and we have a far right. I don't know what happened to the middle, but we're not a united society. United Kingdom is not the name. It should just be, I wouldn't even call it a kingdom. I don't even know. Like we are a kingdom. We've got a king, but it's just not united at all. It's quite sad. So we do envy that with Sweden. Obviously, you guys have your issues as well. This issue of migrants and immigration is an issue in every single country in Europe, and there is a left and a right thing, but I just feel like it's more intense in the UK at the moment. It's really bad.
Just so delusional about the rest of the world.
Right. That's the thing, as like a Swedish traveler, you're so gullible so much of the time, because like you believe that everyone around you has the best of intentions always, because that's how we grew up thinking about other people, you know?
Thank you, Swedish politicians in Sweden, for being just a very trustworthy place where people do their job and don't just think selfishly.
Yeah. Exactly. Another thing that we value a lot now as we're getting older as well is work-life balance, and how like that is really like a pillar of Swedish life.
People have a very healthy attitude about it. People take vacations a lot, which I think is good.
I'm so greedy. I just saw those homemade cinnamon buns and I was like, ugh, I need to have some of those.
But from the perspective of when you're healthy, yes, it's good to work and contribute, but people can get sick at any time or have a kid, then having the option to, you know, not work and not be punished by society, I think is good in most circumstances. And of course, the maternity and paternity leave is awesome.
Yeah, and that brings us to another point, which is that it's relatively very, very cheap to raise kids in Sweden, at least from our perception.
Which Swedes are going to be like, what are you doing?
I know, and hold on, but like compared to what it's like in other countries, like when you talk to people in other countries, I mean, I'm not just talking about like the US in this case, like pretty much anywhere around the world, like when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, like childcare, that kind of stuff, like it is a huge expense, and it's something that people now, especially with the cost of living crisis and everything, think about even more than ever. But in Sweden, like I think people don't really quite realize how good they have it.
Guys, do you realize how good you have it? Even again, I can only compare Sweden to the UK. Even compared to the UK, and we're pretty good on you know, the scheme of the world, and when it comes to helping their citizens, we're pretty good. But we're nowhere near compared to Sweden. We do not have free childcare. We do not have paternity leave. We do not have all these extra benefits that really support families. We don't have that. We don't fund, our taxpayers' money doesn't go towards funding a lot of that stuff. So you really do have it good. And protect that at all costs, guys. Honestly, do not let your politicians try and, you know, oh, we need to pay less taxes, They're gonna take this away, take that. Don't do it. Honestly, the UK, they've started to roll back on a lot of things that we had and we no longer have. Make sure you protect that in Sweden. Honestly, because when it's gone and you will miss it. Trust me.
Child allowance every month. You get so many things paid for.
Meals at daycare. I mean, all.
We get a little bit of a child allowance as well.
At school. Yeah. And you even get university paid for as well. So it's like you do get a lot of things, right?
That one still cuts me really deep. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the free university. I will never not pause a video when I hear free university, because that cuts me deep in my soul. I went to university. Did I use my degree? No. Was it a wasted degree? Probably. I had a good time at university, but now I'm in debt because of university. I'm in debt, guys. Like university debt, that I will have that for the rest of my life, possibly, probably. It's like tens of thousands. Your university is free. 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 Well, not free. Obviously, you society, you pay for it through your taxes, but it's funded. That's a better way of saying it than free. Funded. Do not lose that. Because for young people to start their life off with debt makes me upset thinking about it. Not for me, because it's been and gone now. I've done it. I've got that debt. I've got that loan, and it is what it is. But like for young people now wanting to go to university and get an education, they're all having to start their life off with debt. Thousands of pounds in debt. Whereas in Sweden, these young people are able to go to university, get an education, get a degree, get a job, and start earning and accruing and investing in their future. Whereas we don't get that. So do not lose that, because I'm very envious. We are very envious in the UK of your free education. Now, Scotland, I'm from England. Scotland have free university. I don't know how they did it. I think they have their own funding and stuff, but they're looking after their people. But England and Wales, we don't have free university. We pay. So anyways, that's enough of my preaching, but honestly, I'm very passionate about that, because to do that to young people when they're starting their lives, like, yeah, it's horrific. So it's really good that in Sweden you get that chance to just start off your life with a blank sheet.
I think Swedes don't really treasure as much as they should.
I think honestly my favorite thing about Sweden is how healthy and clean everything is, from the air to the water most of the year, to food at the grocery stores. We're so spoiled.
So spoiled.
They're not lying. When I went to Sweden, the first thing I think I repeated on the video multiple times. Oh, it's so clean. It's so clean. Wow, it's so clean. Man, it's so clean. The air's fresh. Oh, the air's so nice. Honestly, guys, your water is very nice as well. Guys, you're lucky.
Of all the conditions for good physical health, maybe not so much mental health, which we'll get to, but when you land and you step off a plane in Sweden,
it's like wearing an oxygen mask.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels amazing. The air smells amazing. Yeah. We go swimming in lakes all the time. Swedes are so lucky for that. And also, you buy vegetables at the grocery store and you know that compared to many other parts of the world as well, it's quite healthy and clean.
Proper.
So you're not just eating stuff that is, I don't know, making you sicker.
This is a non-exhaustive list of other things we love about Sweden, but those are just some of the top things.
Yeah, and of course we love that our family and friends live there, but if we could choose, we would probably also move them somewhere else with us.
So now we're going to get into some of the things that we like less about Sweden. And a lot of these things, just to preface, are personal things. It's nothing universal or anything like that. It's just our personal preference.
It's also how they affect us. We have friends who are basically not affected by it at all, because they're those types of people. But for us, the type of people we are, these things kind of bother us. And the first thing, the thing that has made me want to move since I was like 12, that exists in so many countries, but we have a specific name for it in Sweden and in the Nordics. It's called Jantelagen in Sweden. In many other English-speaking countries, it's basically like tall poppy syndrome. I cannot stand this. There is nothing worse than people who are bitter and not happy about other people's success. I cannot fathom the idea of seeing someone you know, especially a family member, succeed and not be overwhelmingly happy for them.
Ooh, so they're talking about the toxicness of Jantelagen, like, or Yanti, the law of Yanti. Especially as, so, gays tend to be very, very larger than life. We tend to be larger than life. We tend to not blend in. Queer people in general don't blend in. We are very bright, we're very loud sometimes, and very maybe bubbly, maybe a bit eccentric, maybe a bit funny, maybe we wear like loud colored clothing. But like we're a bit different. We stand out. We don't blend in. So like probably the law of Yanti, like the Jantelagen, is it kind of, and also queer people or gay people especially like to succeed. Everyone likes to succeed, but gays like to succeed and do well in life and really go for things. And because we don't have kids a lot of the time and we have a lot of free time, and they call it the pink pound in the UK. I'm guessing it's called the pink sec in Sweden. But like our purchasing power tends to be quite large because we don't have children, we don't have dependents, and it's just culturally gay people spend money, and that's probably an issue with a lot of gay and queer people in Sweden. I'm not surprised they're saying this basically.
I think of my cousin, for example, one of my cousins in the US who's been very successful. It fills me with so much pride and joy, and I just want to celebrate him. And to think that underlying Swedish culture to us is this constant resentment of anyone who does anything outside the norm and is successful, I cannot. You feel it everywhere. You feel it in small snide comments. Yeah. You feel it in looks. And even if people say, no, it's no big deal, or they say they're happy for you, you can tell.
You know, we can all celebrate each other for what we're doing. You know, it doesn't have to be a one-way street in any way. Yeah.
And it's the same with other people. When I want to ask questions about amazing things they're doing or trips they've taken and stuff, it's like, no, I don't want to talk about me. I'm not special. And it's like, yes, every person is unique and special, and I want to hear what you have to say. But anyway.
I feel like we have a similar thing in the UK. It's just not to maybe that degree, but we do have we don't celebrate, it's not becoming to celebrate your achievements. Like people want to downplay their achievements. Like in our society, if you're someone who's like really wealthy and well-to-do, you don't brag about what you have. You know, if you're a very wealthy person, you don't brag. You know, you'd rather hang around with in areas where it's cheaper and wear clothes that are cheaper. Like a lot of our wealthy and rich people actually shop in like thrift shops and charity shops because they don't want to look like they have money. It's culturally, so yeah, I guess it's a similar thing. I think it might be a Northern and Western European thing to kind of downplay wealth and downplay success because it's just not, in the UK, we'd say it's not classy. It's not classy to do that, to brag about what you have. So I guess it's a similar thing. It's like you look down upon if you brag about the clothes and the cars and the money and whatever you have. You downplay everything. So yeah, similar in the UK.
I could rant about this for a long time, but it's a huge...
If you couldn't tell that already.
Yeah, it's a huge cultural irritation for me.
It exists in many places around the world, so that also...
Most places.
It's a bit of a factor when we decide where we want to settle down as well.
The thing is, the reason we could potentially move somewhere else and the two of us wouldn't be affected is that when you don't live in your home culture, you kind of have a shield against that.
You're an exception.
You're removed from it.
Exactly.
So we love traveling to Japan and Korea, but we know that the expectations to fit in and not do anything different and stuff are so much stronger there even. Yeah. But we just are very aware of the fact that
Korea and Japan is even worse. You have to really assimilate. Interesting.
We're not impacted by that when we're there or when we're around Koreans or even if we moved there because they see us as separate.
Okay, moving on to another thing that is kind of obvious, but it's the weather. It's so funny when we're with our Swedish families or whatever because you kind of get weather amnesia is what I like to call it. For most of the year, it's literally some of the worst weather I could possibly imagine.
On planet Earth.
Like gray, dark, overcast, spitting rain, like not fully raining, so it's like kind of indecisive weather, right? You could literally be that for several months without any sun at all. Like usually in November, there's like no sunny days, in Gothenburg at least. But then as soon as the sun comes out, Are
they from Gothenburg? I love Gothenburg. Listen, if that's where they're from, like, that's a great part of Sweden. No wonder they're talking about Sweden in such a positive light. Love Gothenburg. My favorite place in Sweden so far. I haven't been everywhere, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite big city so far in Sweden. I loved all the cities, but Gothenburg, love. Relate. I relate. I'm from the north of England. I relate. The north of England literally is probably the same climate. Probably the same climate as like southern Sweden. Probably. Latitude wise, we're a bit lower down, but not that much where I'm from. So the weather is very, very similar to probably that of Stockholm. So, or Gothenburg.
One forgets about that entire period of time.
And I don't think the problem is seasons or winter. It's just the fact that our families are from Gothenburg.
Yep.
There, you don't have a real winter. You just have summer and then like 8 months of miserable, dreary weather.
Yeah, and for people...
I completely relate because that's literally the north of England. We have like summer where the sun shines for a bit and then it's just grey. And it's just drizzle and rain, spitting rain, grey, maybe some flurries of snow, grey, wet, grey, wet. Oh, sun's back again. Like, and that is like for most of the year. So I completely relate.
Are not from like a northern or very southern place, like the changes in seasons and how dark and light it gets during summer and winter, like until you've lived through it, like do not underestimate it. Like it's crazy how much it can get to you when it's dark, so dark for 4 or 5 months of the year.
Yeah, sunrise at 9 a.m., sunset at 3 p.m. And during those 6 hours when it's light, the clouds are super low and thick. So it's basically like the equivalent of midnight there in the summer when it's super light.
Right.
I get it. It sounds like just a little bit more intense. So in the UK, where I'm from, the north of England, Yorkshire, it's like 9 a.m. to the sun goes down at like 4:30 p.m. 4 o'clock actually, more like 4 o'clock. So yeah, not too dissimilar. Basically, you go to work, it's dark. You come home, it's dark. So if you work in an office, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. If you live in an office, if you work in an office, you sometimes you don't see the sun for weeks on end. That gets to people. It really does, and I do get it. I do get it. If you're from somewhere that gets proper seasons and you have the same, like in Thailand, I used to live in Thailand, as you guys know, for a couple of years. And the sun would go down at 6 o'clock every day. Every day without question, the sun is going down is around 6 o'clock. And you get proper sunlight hours. It's perfect. It doesn't deviate from that. 6 o'clock every day. Whereas we have daylight savings. Sometimes we have endless days where like the sun is just shining for a very long time and you're trying to get to sleep, and if you don't have blackout curtains, you're pretty fucked because you won't get to sleep because the sun will shine into your room, or the sun will rise so early in the morning that it can get into your room, or you just don't get any sun at all. It's tough. It's tough living in Europe, in Northern Europe and in Western Europe as well.
So
exactly. I think we get more affected by it than many other people, but that's just a really important thing for us. Like, we want to be in better weather.
Once you've experienced living in good weather, it's hard to go back.
Exactly.
True.
Okay, so the flip side to the great focus on equality, which I think is so incredibly noble and everything, I think sometimes that turns into a bit of a repressive, conformist element in Swedish culture, which is kind of interesting, where whatever makes you unique, don't let that shine too much because we're all supposed to be the same.
So to give an example, which people are going to be so upset and disagree with it, but it is 100% true, is that although Sweden on paper is so LGBT friendly, for example, and society in general is very accepting, which is so amazing and we so appreciate it, because of this extreme conformist culture, there are still so many people who don't dare to come out because they don't want to be seen as different in any way. And even if they do come out, they have to be exactly like everyone else still. They can't like any different shows or have any kind of subculture because that's not acceptable. If you've lived in a big...
Interesting. So saying, you can come out, they're very super acceptable of being gay, but there's only one sort of gay that you should be. All gays should act this way. And that is, yeah. So it bleeds itself into subcultures like the queer community, where they feel in that community you need to be one way. That's got to be very difficult because you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be trans, you can be non-binary, you can be anything on the spectrum, and just not fit in with what is seen as the norm still, even within those subsectors. So it's like, if a country like Sweden, where everyone wants to fit in, that's got to be very difficult. Let me know if you're a queer person in that, and what your experience is in Sweden. I'm having a swarm of sorry guys, this is not even related, but I don't know what it's like in Sweden, but where I am in the north of England, there's a lot of flies, and I don't know where they've come from, but they've spawned like little flies of just like, they're swarming now that we're in autumn, and they're trying to get inside, and my window is covered in flies outside. And the spiders are having a field day catching them. But like, honestly, it's like literally like a swarm. But I live in the country, so that's probably why. And I've just moved here, so it's a bit weird. I've not seen this before. But let me know if you know what I'm talking about.
Big city like New York or London or LA or San Francisco. I'm sure it's like this in many places.
Yeah, of course. But like the way we know that this is true as well is that like people we talk to in Sweden, like our family or whatever, they don't know any LGBTQ plus people at all. And they're like usually shocked by it, almost themselves, like why don't I know anyone? And it's like, well, yeah, it's because people don't feel comfortable coming out. Although it's like super accepting on paper, it doesn't really translate into the culture that is so conformist.
From a personal point of view, I think another challenge about Sweden is that for us to ever integrate back into society would be almost impossible, because now we've sort of left the boundaries of what is considered normal to a Swede. Making friends for any Swede is very, very difficult after school age. So if we were to move somewhere even an hour away from our family and the few friends we have who still live in Gothenburg, for example, it would be impossible pretty much to make friends. Everyone hangs out with their high school friends, their middle school, or even preschool friends. Very few people hang out with colleagues. Very few people will meet someone at a restaurant or in any social setting and make new friends that way, which is very unfortunate. Even in Sweden's second biggest city, I assume it's the same in Stockholm based on what our friends tell us. But because of that, the idea of us being able to create the same type of life there that we can create elsewhere just seems very unlikely. And I think that
interesting. Let me know in the comment section, obviously you guys are all Swedes, if you find it difficult making new friends. I find it difficult. As someone who's in his 30s, I find it difficult making new friends. Really difficult. So, but let me know if you find it difficult in Sweden, if that's like compounded in your country. Let me know. Anyone want to be my friend? I don't have any friends. I do have friends. I have a couple of friends, but I don't have a lot of friends. I could do with more friends. I need a Swedish friend. Maybe if I move to Sweden, I'll make a Swedish friend somehow.
All these factors combine to make it just not the most attractive option, considering all the other options we have, even in Europe. Because if we're not going to live driving distance from our family, and driving distance in Sweden is like tops an hour, any more than that, people
well, in southern Sweden. In northern Sweden, it's different because everything's spread out, but
like if we lived more than an hour away, we would never see anyone. So at that point, it's like, well, then we might as well just live 10 hours away. Like, it doesn't make a difference in how often we'll see someone.
Exactly.
So then we might as well live elsewhere in Europe or even further away. And I keep telling my family, can you at least, please, some of you move to southern Sweden, to the very south, close to Copenhagen. So you're close to a big airport. I find the southern part of Sweden, Skåne, to be the best
nicest part. We love it there.
Like if we were to live in Sweden, we would live there.
For sure. I think this kind of applies to anyone who's
interesting. And Skåne. So Skåne is like Malmö then, like that area they like the most. Interesting. That's interesting.
Traveled a lot or lived abroad for a long time, like you kind of become like shaped by all your experiences, right, throughout life. And then it's just impossible to fit inside the whole of your home country when you come back after so much time. So I think that's just a general point that we're...
I completely relate. I like these guys. They're my sort of people. I completely relate to what they're saying because I lived in Thailand and I moved back recently I keep mentioning Thailand, don't I? I was like, I miss it. In January, December actually, last year December I moved back, and yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock. It was quite a bit of a culture shock initially. It was like, oh, this is different, and then, but you do get used to it. I know those guys are like, oh no, it's a culture shock. But after a while, you do get. I mean, this is your home, so you do assimilate to how it was. But I am definitely a person of the world. Hence why I came to Sweden. I just want to see everywhere. I want to be everywhere. I want to meet new people. I want to experience new things, and that's just how I am. So, how long I'll be living here, I don't know. Could I be living in Sweden? Possibility. Could I live in Norway? Possibility. Denmark? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But I won't be living in this country for the rest of my life. Absolutely not.
Experiencing.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, we love most things about Sweden on paper.
Yeah, we do.
I think in reality, just us being there, it doesn't feel right. There's too many things that grate at our happiness, at our patience.
Yeah.
Sweden can be right for so many people, and we totally understand why some of our friends and family choose to stay.
Yeah.
Because they are not bothered by the same things that bother us.
Exactly, and we love what Sweden represents in the world, and we hope that it stays the type of country that it has been for decades and decades and decades, because we wanted to provide that example. We think that's really important. So don't change, Sweden.
But also due to, no, I'm kidding.
I mean, there's always things you want to change about your home country, but I think in the end, it's good that we're all different and everyone can choose what they like.
Hej då, tack för idag.
Yeah, anyway, we are recording this video from the next place that we're evaluating as a place to call home as well. So hint, hint, coming up in the next video if you want to check that out. Yeah, if you have any questions or...
They're so cute. I like these two. I might have to subscribe. What are their names? Oscar and Dan. I'm gonna subscribe to Oscar and Dan. I like them. And it's true. We all want to change things about our countries. In fact, I think we're all very self-critical of our countries. More so than anyone else in the world. And I think sometimes it's hard to... look at our countries and appreciate what we have. Do you know what I mean? We're harsh. We're very harsh on our own countries, because when you live in your countries, all you can see is the stuff that it falls short on, the bad stuff. But then when you have a conversation with someone who's not from your country, and then they tell you about your country, for example, you guys watching me learning about Sweden, and I'm telling you all the stuff about Sweden that I absolutely love, it makes you reappreciate where you live, and you're like, oh my god, actually I live somewhere that's actually really nice. You know, I'm very harsh on the UK all the time, always criticizing the UK, but the UK is a great place. People move here because they want to be here and they love this country. So I should be proud of my country, and you should be proud of Sweden. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you very soon.